Hi guys, so I wanted to make a video where I talked about connecting to our deep core muscles. So there's going to be a lot of me chatting away, but if you're totally new to Pilates or you've been doing it for a while and you felt you're not getting as much out of it as you could be, then this video is probably worth a listen. So our deep core muscle that we're typically talking about in Pilates is called transverse abdominus, or TA. Okay, and it's a muscle that wraps around the front and sides of our body and connects into the back through a big piece of connective tissue called the thoracolumbar fascia into our spinal muscles and our spinal stabilizer, in particular called multifidus. Okay, so those two muscles, our multifidus and our transverse abdominis, create a lot of stability in this area, and they help us to manage pressure in this area. So when they engage, they increase the pressure in this area and in theory create more stability. Now, from a Pilates perspective, that's definitely what they do. From a physio perspective, there's some debate about that, and I never like to mislead anyone, and I am a physiotherapist, so I think it's important to say there is debate on that. But lots of people find that Pilates can be really, really helpful when they've had back pain, and the theory is that it can help with stabilizing. Okay. So the other muscles that I think are really, really relevant are our diaphragm, which is our main breathing muscle. It's like a big ball. It sits at the bottom of our lungs and has two sides, and they're slightly different. And as we breathe in, the muscle engages and pulls towards its middle tendon, so its middle connective tissue, and that pulls air into the lungs. And the lungs expand, the diaphragm moves down and pulls. Okay. As we exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and gently rolls back up to its rest position. Okay, so inhale, it contracts and pulls air down and in. Exhale, it relaxes. The pelvic floor does the same motion, but the opposite. So as we breathe in, it lengthens, and as we exhale, it shortens. Okay. Now it's hard to feel these two muscles moving. It takes a lot of body awareness, and there's various reasons why we might be disconnected from feeling, particularly the pelvic floor muscles. So an engagement of the pelvic floor is commonly called a Kegel in North America, and being able to relax those muscles is just as important as being able to engage those muscles in our pelvic floor. Okay. The other muscles that I think are really relevant are our rectus abdominis, which is our six-pack muscle. So that kind of comes down between the rib cage and the pubic bone, and it has eight little kind of pockets of muscle that have a little kind of connective tissue fibers in between them. So you'll see some people have a six-pack, some people have an eight-pack. We all actually have an eight-pack. It's just deep underneath the kind of fat and the connective tissue in our bellies. You can't see it on everybody, but we all have it. And that muscle's job is to help us to flex forward. Okay, so it helps us to bend forward. So things like crunches. And then we've also got our oblique muscles. So we've got our internal obliques and our external obliques. So our external obliques are like a hoodie pocket, and our internal obliques go the other way. Okay, and those muscles help us to rotate and side bend, and when they're contracting all together, they increase the pressure in our abdomen, and they help us to curl up as well. Okay, so that's kind of an introduction to our core. So in terms of depth, it's the transverse abdominis, that deepest one first, then our two layers of our obliques, and then our rectus abdominis, our six-pack. And then our diaphragm's on the top and our pelvic floor's on the bottom. So lots going on in our core, okay? So we're going to forget about the outer layer for now, and we're going to think about connecting to the deep core. And I'm also going to teach the pelvic floor because I personally think that it's really, really important that people understand how to engage and relax that pelvic floor, partly because I work as a pelvic health physio, and partly because I found that most people got a lot more out of their Pilates when they understood that, okay? So let's kind of start with connecting to the pelvic floor muscles. Okay, so the pelvic floor muscles go from our pubic bone at the front to our tailbone at the back. Okay, so pop your hand onto those onto those bones. So pubic bone at the front, that bony bit at the front of the pelvis, and tailbone right at the bottom of spine. Okay. So between there, if you're a lady, you've got your pee hole, your vagina, and your bum hole. Okay, your anus. And if you are a man, obviously you've got your penis and your testes and still your anus. Okay. So if we kind of think about whatever genitals we've got in that area, as we breathe in, we want to think about those muscles opening up and relaxing. So we're going to think about opening up all of our holes and letting those muscles relax down. So it's almost like we're opening up between the pubic bone and the tailbone, between the two sit bones. Okay. As we exhale, we're going to think about engaging. So we're going to gently close those 3 holes or those 2 holes. And for men, you want to think about gently lifting your testes up. Inhale, open everything up, relax. Exhale, gently engage and close. Okay. So often the breath feels really, really backwards for a lot of people. If that's something you're really, really struggling with and you're having any issues with the pelvic floor, then go and see a pelvic health video and we can help you with that. Okay. Inhale to open up. Exhale, engage. Good job. Okay. So we don't want to be, this is my disclaimer, we don't want to be engaging our pelvic floor all the time. Okay. That's a myth. Okay. So now let's talk about our transverse abdominus. Okay. So in Pilates, we typically teach to exhale and engage. There's lots of reasons why we do that. I'm not going to get into it in this video because it will become a 20-minute video. So if you bring your hands onto your belly, and as you breathe in, think about letting your belly expand, okay? As you exhale now, imagine you're blowing out a big bubble, a big, long, smooth bubble. Okay, so you're going to purse your lips and gently blow out like you're blowing a bubble. Now you should feel as if your low belly, kind of around the belly button area and a bit below, gently engages and you get a bit of tightening in your low belly. Okay. Now if you're not feeling that, try blowing out a bit more firmly, okay? Like you're blowing a really big bubble or like a bunch of birthday candles. Now, did you feel it that time? Hopefully. Okay. So that's what our kind of deep core engaging can feel like. It's that increase in pressure in our abdomen, okay? And this naturally happens when we do something like coughing or laughing or when we're singing. We get an increase in pressure in here and those muscles engage, okay? And the transverse abdominis and the multifidus at the back would ideally engage in preparation for movement. So they're what we call anticipatory muscles, and they kind of turn on even when we're thinking about movement and before to give us that kind of stability in that area so that we're ready to move and we have nice control. Okay. And the goal of Pilates is to always have those muscles engaged first so that then when we're moving, we have a really nice control from the center of our body. Okay. So we're going to try engaging with those muscles and lying on our back, and I'm going to go through a few different cues. Because if there's one thing I've learned from teaching Pilates, it's that people need all sorts of different cues to find that connection. And don't beat yourself up if you're really struggling with this, okay? I would really recommend going and working with a private Pilates instructor if you really, really want to get more out of Pilates and you just feel like you're getting a bit stuck, okay? You don't need to do a bunch of sessions. It can be really pricey, but even just doing 1 or 2 sessions to really get that basic connection can be so helpful. So come and lie on your back. You can use a pillow if you want to. I find it helps the neck muscles to soften. Okay, and we're going to start with the knees bent. Okay, so you want to have a little bit of a gap under the low back. So if you slide your fingers just above that kind of tailbone area, and just let there be that tiny little space in your low back. Let the low back rest onto the fingers. And then just slide those fingers out and kind of keep that space there. It's not a huge gaping hole. Okay, it's just a little bit of space. It's what we call the neutral spine. Then we're gonna bring your hands onto your belly and find your 2 hip bones. So there's bony bits at the front of your pelvis. Now bring your fingers in 1 inch from those hip bones and down 1 inch. Okay. And this is a really good spot to feel the lower fibers of our transverse abdominis, our deep core. Okay. So as we breathe in, let the belly relax. Exhale, try blowing out your candles or your big bubble. See if you feel a gentle tightening there. Now, what we don't want to feel is a lifting up. That would be our internal obliques turning on, so more of those outer muscles. We love those muscles, but we're not ready for them just yet. Okay. So another cue that can be helpful if the candle one's not working for you is to imagine that you're gently drawing those bones towards each other. For some people, the opposite. It's like they're drawing those bones away from each other. I'm going to throw a bunch of cues at you now. Another one that works for some people is just to gently think about drawing their belly button in and down towards their spine. And then one that I was always taught when I originally started Pilates, which I've never thought works for me, but is imagine you're zipping up a really tight pair of skinny jeans, so kind of drawing up from the pubic bone to the belly button. It works for a lot of people. It's never been my favorite cue. So try all of those cues and see what works. So drawing the hip bones towards each other, drawing the hip bones apart, drawing the belly button towards the spine, zipping up from the pubic bone up to the belly button, like you're putting on a tight pair of jeans. Nice. Hopefully one of those cues worked for you. Okay. A good time to test it is by adding in a little bit of leg movement. So keep your hands on that low belly. And then as you breathe in, we're going to open the knees out just a little bit. And as you exhale, use whichever cue worked for you. Think about engaging those core muscles as you gently draw the legs back together. Now, if you're doing fine with this, you're not feeling overwhelmed, then I'm going to add in the pelvic floor contraction. Now, as I said earlier, not everybody needs to strengthen their pelvic floor. So a lot of people need to relax their pelvic floor more. So this is something to kind of do during Pilates and practice, not necessarily something we need to do throughout our daily life. So as you breathe in, we're going to open up through those sit bones, open up all of our holes, think about relaxing the belly and the pelvis. As we exhale, think about gently doing a Kegel, so gently engaging through the pelvic floor. Just a little bit of a lift, maybe 30% of what we could do. Closing all three of those holes, we're gently drawing the sit bones towards each other, and we're gently engaging our deep core. It's a lot. Don't worry if you're feeling overwhelmed. Inhale, we're opening everything up. We're relaxing our pelvic floor. We're opening up all of our holes. We're opening our sit bones. Exhale, we're gently engaging the pelvic floor. We're gently engaging the deep core. 2 more like that. Inhale, we're opening up, finding space into the pelvis, into the belly. Exhale, we're gently engaging. Good job. One more. Really good. Okay, nice. So that's my little introduction. It's hard. I've never taught anyone Pilates who's really got it and they've gone away and said, yeah, that was easy. So don't worry if you're like, this is tricky. It's really normal to feel that way. And one thing I would say is like, don't overcomplicate it. This is what Pilates has taught for the last several years. And I love it and I use it all the time with my patients and with my clients who I teach Pilates to. But from a physio perspective, often I find that just getting people moving is the most important thing, and this attention to detail isn't always necessary, okay? So don't worry if you're feeling a little bit lost. It's not always necessary to go into this level of detail, okay? But I just thought I'd make this video so that there's a resource out there, okay? I hope that was helpful. Write me a comment if you're like, I'm not really sure what you meant, or you have any questions. I'm happy to make another video. This is a topic I'm really passionate about, so I'm happy to spend time on it. Okay, bye.